Hello students, you all are welcome to Sri Guru online chemistry classes. As it is my first class for you, let me introduce briefly regarding myself. Myself, hope you know, CS Chincholi Sanjeev Kumar, and I am a part of SGC. This is sufficient, I think. Myself CS and I am a part of SGC. Now let me introduce the very important topic of inorganic chemistry, second year syllabus, which has weightage of 6 marks in the annual examination, and the topic is coordination compounds. Well, students, which has weightage of 6 marks, you will get 2 questions of each 3 mark weightage in the part C of the annual examination paper, coordination compounds. Well, students, I think before I define what are coordination compounds in the introductory part, let us understand the types of salts before we go to collect about the coordination compounds. What are the types of salts? Dear students, as you know, salts, how these salts are formed. The salts are going to be formed by the reaction between acid and a base, and that process what we call as neutralization. When an acid combines with a base, we were going to get a salt like NaCl, copper sulfate, potassium nitrate, etc. For your kind information, in the introductory part of this lesson, let's understand what are the types of salts. The inorganic salts, they were mainly divided into 3 types. Inorganic salts, which are mainly divided into 3 types. First one is simple salts. How these simple salts are formed? When an acid combines with a base, you are going to get a salt, simple salts. If I take an example of the simple salt, it is NaCl, KCl, CuSO4, etc. So these are called simple salts, which contain one acid radical and one basic radical. If I take an example of NaCl, Cl minus is acid radical, Na plus is basic radical. CuSO4 salt, SO4 2 minus sulfate is acid radical, Cu2 plus is basic radical. The salts which contains one acid radical and one basic radical, anion and cation, those are called simple salts. Come on, let's collect the second category of salts, which are called double salts. Well, the word itself gives you an idea. Double salts, a mixture of more than one salt, a mixture of 2 or more salts, giving you definitely not more, a mixture of more than one. That type of salts are called double salts, and these double salts are formed by the addition of equimolar proportion of 2 simple salts. When 2 simple salts with equimolar proportion, when they were mixed, you are going to get a double salt. Let's see the examples of double salt, which is potash alum. Simply it is called alum. potash alum, and formula is K2SO4, Al2SO4 taken thrice, Al2SO4 taken thrice with 24 hydrated water molecules. This is the composition of potash alum, double salts. Then you have carnallite. Another example of double salt is a mineral by name carnallite, which is KCl, MgCl2, 6H2O. KCl, MgCl2, 6H2O, etc. Even Morse salts. Morse salt. What is that Morse salt? FeSO4. So NH3 taken ammonium, NH4 taken twice, SO4. Ferrous ammonium sulfate is called Morse salt. Dot 6H2O. FeSO4, NH4 taken twice, dot 12H2O. So this is the composition of Morse salt. So when I take double salts are those salts which are formed by the addition of two simple salts in the equimolar proportion. Example, potash alum, carnallite, Morse salt. Now, so these salts, when they were taken in the water, they give their constituent ions and they give test for their constituent ions. When a potash alum is taken in the water, it will give a test for potassium ion, give a test for aluminium ion, and a test for sulfate ion. These salts, they do not retain their identity in the aqueous solution. These are going to lose their identity in the aqueous solution. Such salts are called double salt. Similarly, if I take carnallite in the water, that dissociate and giving you a test for the ions K plus ion, potassium ion, Mg2 plus ion, Cl minus ion. So these are the salts which they do not retain their identity. They lose their identity. Not retain means they lose their identity in their aqueous solutions. Even more salt, ferrous ammonium sulfate. Ferrous ammonium sulfate in the aqueous solution will give a test for ferrous ion, Fe2 plus, give a test for ammonium ion, NH4 plus, and sulfate ion, SO4 2 minus. That means the double salts which are formed by the mixing of two simple salts in equimolar proportion, and these salts, they retain their identity in the solid. In the solid they retain their identity, but in the aqueous solution these are going to lose their identity. That means these salts give a test for constituent ions in the aqueous solution, which is regarding the double salts. Now let's collect the third type of salt, which are called complex salts. Don't get confused. CS means complex salts. So CS is different and complex salt is different. Complex salts. Well, students, so what are these complex salts? Complex salts is also a mixture of two or more salts. But these salts retain their identity in the solid as well as in the aqueous solutions. If I take an example of a complex salt, example, potassium ferrocyanide, K4FeCN6, K4FeCN6 times. This is commonly called potassium ferrocyanide potassium ferrocyanide complex salt. Even if I take CuNH3 taken 4 times SO4, it is a cuprammonium sulfate. This is potassium ferrocyanide salt, complex salt. This is cuprammonium complex salt. And if I take another NiCO taken 4 times, this is nickel tetracarbonyl complex salt and others, etc. Well, students, complex salts, these are formed by the addition of 2 or more simple salts, and these salts, they retain their identity in the solid as well as in the aqueous solutions. So what does it mean? So when you take K4FeCN6, so you can see a entity which is written in the square bracket. You can notice somewhat these salts are written in a different manner, and such kind of manner where you have not noticed in mentioning those salts. See, some of the entities were written in the square bracket. So here negative part of the salt is in the square bracket, the positive cationic part is in the square bracket, and this whole salt is in the square bracket. I repeat, so these are the examples of complex salts, namely potassium ferrocyanide, cuprammonium sulfate, and this is nickel tetracarbonyl. Now, what point is noticed here? These salts, when they retain their identity in the solid as well as in the aqueous solution. When you dissolve potassium ferrocyanide in the water, that will not give a test for Fe2 plus ion. It will not give test for ferrous ion. And when you take the cuprammonium sulfate in the water, the copper Cu2 plus, it will not give a test. The solution of cuprammonium sulfate will not give a test for Cu2 plus ion, even ammonium ion, not give a test. Even when you take nickel tetracarbonyl, it won't give a test for nickel. That means these are the salts which are called complex salts. But in modern terminology, I tell you, in the modern terminology, in the modern chemistry, these complex salts itself, they were termed as coordination compounds. What coordination compounds? Instead, they are nothing but complex salts. In a modern term, the complex salts are termed as coordination compounds. So let recap in a minute of time. In the introductory part of this coordination compounds, we have started with, before defining this, we started with types of salts. As you know, salts, these are the compounds, inorganic compounds, formed by the reaction between acid and a base. Now the salts are classified into mainly 3 types. Inorganic salts are classified into simple salts, double salts, complex salts. So simple salts, sodium chloride, potassium chloride, copper sulfate, aluminum chloride, etc. Simple salts, where they contain one basic radical, one acidic radical, one cation and one anion. Coming to the double salts, these are the salts formed by the addition of 2 simple salts in the equimolar proportion. Example, potassium, carnallite, Morse salt. Morse salt is nothing but ferrous ammonium sulfate. What is Morse salt? Ferrous ammonium sulfate is itself called Morse salt. So here the point of observation in the double salt is these salts, they retain their identity in the solid state, but they lose their identity in the aqueous solutions. When these were taken in the water, they were going to give test for the constituent ions like K plus, Al3 plus SO4 2 minus. These all salts, they retain their identity in the solid but lose their identity in the aqueous solutions. Such salts are called double salts. Coming to the third type of inorganic salt, nothing but complex salts. Nothing but complex salts. So what are these complex salts? Complex salts are nothing but addition compounds formed by mixing two or more salts, but they retain their identity in the solid as well as in the liquid state. So I mention here, they lose their identity, lose their identity in aqueous solutions. So these are the double salts. But regarding the complex salts, I can write retain their identity. They do not give a test. The solution of these salts will not give a test for the complex ion like Fe2 plus Cu2 plus Ni plus, will not give a test. Retain their identity in solid as well as aqueous solutions. Those are called simple salts. Now, as a point of knowledge, let's collect a table to differentiate between double salt and a complex salt. After collecting the types of inorganic salts, namely as simple salt, double salt and complex salts, let collect a table of differentiation or differentiating between the double salt and complex salt. How the complex salts are going to differ from double salts as a point of knowledge. One should know the differences between double salt and a complex salt. Differences between double salt and complex salts. The important one will collect, where you can refer in the printed notes given to you. First one, these are double salts. They are stable. Double salts are stable in the solid state. Regarding complex, these salts are stable both in solid as well as in aqueous solution. Second, lose identity. These double salts lose their identity in aqueous solution. While regarding the complex salts, retain their identity in aqueous solution. Third, they dissociate into constituent ions. Dissociates into constituent ions. Here not dissociate into constituent ions, not dissociate into constituents, but produce complex ions, Point number 4. These double salts, they contain ionic bond, contain ionic bond. Regarding the complex, they contains coordinate bond. Complex salts contain coordinate bond. They contain coordinate bond. So these are the important differences between the double salt and the complex salts. So these double salts, they are stable only in the solid state, while the complex are stable in a solid as well as aqueous solution. Double salt lose their identity in aqueous, while complex retain their identity in aqueous. So these dissociate into constituent ions, while these are not dissociate into constituents but producing the complex ions. I mean, after dissociation they produce their ions, but dissociation produce complex ions. Double salts, they consist of ionic bond. They contains ionic bond in them, while the complex salts, they contain coordinate bond. Double salts contains ionic bond, while the complex, they contain coordinate bond. These are the important differences between the double salts and complex salts. Now, the time has come to define what complex salts. I said already, complex salts are nothing but coordination compounds. Now it's time to define what are complex salts and what is meant by coordination compounds. As a important part, complex salts, nothing but coordination compounds. These are nothing but the compounds. I define. So now I define the term complex salts are coordination compounds. Complex salts are coordination compounds. These are defined as the compounds. These are nothing but the compounds in which the compounds which contains the central metal ion, which contains the central metal atom or ion, surrounded by negative ions, or neutral molecules surrounded by negative ions or neutral molecules which are linked by or linked through coordinate bonds, those compounds are called complex salts. Which are nothing but coordination compounds. So I repeat, so what are coordination compounds? Coordination compounds are those compounds which contains the central metal atom or ion surrounded by negative ions or neutral molecules which are linked through coordinate bonds or which are linked through coordinate bonds or coordinate linkages or OR. We can also define what these coordination compounds are, what these complex salts are. These are the compounds which contains complex ions which contains complex ion in it. Compounds which contains complex ion in it are called coordination compounds. In short form, we can also define the coordination compounds as the compounds which contains a complex ion in them. The compounds which contains a complex ion in them are also called as complex salts. Complex salts are nothing but coordination compounds. I do conclude, what are complex salts or what are coordination compounds? These are the compounds in which the central metal atom or ion is surrounded by negative ions or neutral molecules which are collectively called as ligands. Negatively charged molecules or neutral molecules. These negative ions or neutral molecules collectively called ligands. A central metal atom or ion which are surrounded by negative ions or neutral molecules which are linked through the central metal ion through a coordinate bond are called coordination compounds. Or simply, what are complex salts? The salts which contains complex ion in it. The salt containing a complex ion in it. It may be a complex anion or a complex cation. The salts containing the complex ions in it are called complex salts. Well, dear students, after collecting the definition, let's go ahead in the continuation of a very important part of this lesson, which has appeared many a times in the examination for 3 marks, minimum to maximum 3 marks, which is nothing but a theory propounded by Alfred Werner over the coordination compounds. He was the first person, Alfred Werner was the first person to study both physical and chemical properties on the coordination compounds, and which made him to propose a very important theory which made him to obtain a Nobel Prize in Chemistry for his contribution in the field of coordination compounds. That important part of this lesson, let's collect it now, which is Werner's theory of coordination compounds. Werner's theory of coordination compounds. Well, students, it was Alfred Werner, dear students, for your kind information, it was the Alfred Werner, a Swiss chemist, a scientist belonging to Switzerland, a Swiss chemist who proposed a theory, some assumptions on the formation of coordination compounds, proposed a theory in the year 1898, and the main postulates of the theory, let's collect. You will be asked to write the 3 important postulates of Werner's theory or explain Werner's theory of coordination compounds. Like that, main postulates of the theory are as follows. Well, students, Werner's theory of coordination compounds, which consist of important postulates. Let's collect one by one. So, what the postulate says? The first postulate says, in a coordination compound, CC stands for coordination compounds, the central metal atom or ion, in a coordination compound, the central metal atom or ion shows two types of valencies, namely primary valency and secondary valency. I repeat, what the first law of coordination compounds theory proposed by Werner says, in a coordination compounds, the central metal atom or ion, which shows two types of valencies, namely primary valency and secondary valency. Come on, let's collect the point. Primary valency or primary valencies are normally ionizable. And are satisfied by negative ions only. I repeat, what the second postulate says, primary valency or valencies. Primary valencies are normally ionizable and are satisfied by negative ions only, while secondary valencies are non-ionizable and are satisfied by negative ions or neutral molecules which are called ligands. Let me completely read out the second postulates after collecting the first. Let's see the first one. In a coordination compound, the central metal atom or ion exhibit or shows two types of valencies, namely primary valency and secondary valency. Coming to the second, primary valencies are normally ionizable and are satisfied by negative ions only, while the secondary valencies are non-ionizable and are satisfied by what? Negative ions or neutral molecules which are called ligands, which together are called ligands. Coming to the postulate number 3, primary valency is variable. Primary valency is variable, which corresponds to oxidation state, whereas secondary valency is fixed, which corresponds to which corresponds to coordination number of central metal atom, central metal atom or ion. So in the space available I have completed the third postulates, but I'll read out twice to convince you. What third postulate says, dear students? Concentrate on this. Primary valency is variable. Primary valency is variable, and which represents, primary valency is variable, which represents what? Oxidation state of the central metal atom or ion in the complex. The primary valency is variable, which corresponds to oxidation states of the central metal atom, whereas the secondary valency is fixed. For a complex, secondary valency is fixed, like 2, 4, 6, depending on its the formation or neutrality. What is this secondary valency? Secondary valency is fixed, which corresponds to the coordination number of the central metal atom or ion in the complex, in the coordination compounds. So last postulate, let's collect the one more postulate, fourth postulate of the Werner's theory of coordination compounds. Postulate number 4 says primary valency or valencies are non-directional. Primary valencies are non-directional. They are non-directional. Whereas secondary valencies are directed. Secondary valencies are directional and are directed in space around the central metal ion, around the central metal atom or ion, so as to give a definite geometrical shape, so as to give definite geometrical shape to the complex or coordination compounds. So what is this postulate number 4 says? Postulate number 4, primary valencies are non-directional, whereas secondary valencies are directional. That is, they are directed in space around the central metal atom or ion, so as to give a definite geometrical shape to the complex, so as to give a definite geometrical shape to the coordination compounds. That completes the postulates of Werner's theory of coordination compounds. Let me collect together before I conclude this part. So what are the postulates of Werner's theory of coordination compounds? Number 1, in a coordination compound, the central metal atom or ion that shows two types of valencies, namely primary valency and secondary valency. Coming to the postulate number 2, primary valencies are normally ionizable and are satisfied by negative ions only, while the secondary valencies are non-ionizable and are satisfied by negative ions or neutral molecules, which are called ligands. Postulate number 3, primary valency is variable and it corresponds to oxidation state of the central metal atom or ion, while the secondary valency is fixed, does not vary, is fixed, which corresponds to coordination number of the complex. Point number 4, primary valencies are non-directional, while the secondary valencies are directional and are directed in a space around the central metal atom or ion to give a definite geometrical shape to the complex. So let collect the merits and demerits of this theory in the next class, along with examples of coordination compounds which are prepared by Alfred Werner and his team in the next class. Thank you.